Welcome back to Medicine for These Times. Just a quick reminder, two things. If you are not already on my email list and receiving my emails, please sign up for one of my 2 free trainings right here in the show notes. And you can join my email community because I am going to be offering some free workshops, some lower price programs. And I do believe that I write pretty good emails. And by the way, they're written by me, not AI. So be sure to join my email list. I really have been preaching this for many years, long before 2020. We really have to take this world into our hands and not rely on social media and actually have direct connection to one another through community. And email tends to be one of the best ways to do that, unless you want to give me your phone number and I'll just text you, but I'm sure you don't want that. And if you can, please leave a review. Thank you. Today, I'm going to talk about something that's very alive for a lot of people, and it's been very present in my field, especially the last few weeks. So a few weeks ago, a brand or a business, I would call it, hired me to try to understand why they can't make money. They're not making money. And it's funny because I've actually been following this business, or I used to follow this business many years ago. They changed their name, but they were what was, in my eyes, like this very big. They were kind of like an online magazine, website with content, and they had a huge following. And they were pretty early out there in the world of spirituality and psychedelics, non-ordinary states, talking about kind of, certain content that wasn't as prevalent, let's say 8 or 9 or 10 years ago as it is today. So I had met someone that was part of this team last year, and they reached out to me to ask about coaching, and they actually couldn't afford my regular rate, which I found shocking because my regular rate, by the way, is not that high. I mean, it's, some people might call it high, but in the grand scheme of coaching and this world that we are in, it's actually quite accessible, just so you know. So I was actually really curious to know what was going on in their business, and I actually do believe in them. And I accepted this more out of curiosity than for the money. So I gave them kind of a good deal. Let's be honest, I gave them like a very good deal, because I was actually genuinely curious to see if I could help them. And the one thing that stood out immediately was the use of AI. There's nothing wrong with using AI, and with the lack of human connection in their brand and their business. The reality is, and here's the thing, they're a brand. They present themselves like a brand, like a company versus people, which I think can work in some cases, but not when you're selling plant medicine or coaching programs or doing kind of deep dive soul work in communities. And it's fine to have a brand. For example, I've had other businesses. My other businesses were brands. One of them in particular was my running apparel business, and it was a brand, because people, it's like Nike, right? People were just buying clothing. But the one thing that actually shifted that business was, I had a friend who was a marketing guru who told me, you need to bring your face forward. You need to be the face of this brand. And of course, I didn't want that. I just wanted it to be a brand. But we need human connection. I mean, this is how humans operate. This is in our nature to be connected. We are relational beings. And, unless you're buying a gadget on Amazon or just, random groceries at the store, but even then, like, let's be honest, the food that you eat when there's a human behind it is, it becomes much more connected and it becomes much more enticing. Same thing with artwork, right? It's like, yeah, you could buy a pretty piece of art and, it's nice, but when you know the artist or you meet the artist or you know the background of the artist, it's that has a heart connection, and it's becomes a lot more alluring to want to purchase this. So in the world of extreme AI that we're in now, where so many people are just kind of outsourcing their business and they're like, great, now I can have this bot and I can train it. And, You can try training it all you want, but it will never be you. But people think like, oh, I've just trained my AI to write all my content and, make images, and now I can just churn these out and hope to get clients. And I keep waiting for the day where I'm already doing really well. I'm not, like there's no problems in my business. Of course, I always welcome and more. Why not? But I keep making jokes that I'm going to be making multi-millions because I'm one of the few people out there that is not relying on AI. Yes, I use it in certain ways, but I have never fully outsourced it to do all my content or all my writing or all my program development or my website or anything, my podcast, etc. And I think the more and more people that are just, because I'm going to tell another story. So I have a client who, has been definitely using it more than I would like. And I keep telling this client, make sure it has you first. I think it's okay to have AI maybe go in and edit, but not edit where it replaces your language. And by the way, it's not just about your language, it's the language of the people that you are offering, it's the language of the people that you are presenting your offering to, aka it's the language of your ideal clients. It's the language of the people who you want to work with, the soulmate connected clients out there that you dream of working with. It's about your heart and your language and their heart connecting together. And if you outsource your language and their language to a bot that even one you've supposedly trained, it's just not the same. I mean, maybe in a few years we'll see. I mean, who knows? I keep wondering if it's going to get there. I personally have seen it actually get worse. By the way, I've caught AI making like lots and lots of factual mistakes. I'm sure those who've used it know what I'm talking about. But it's really like learning how to be in right relationship with this other energy of AI. And there's, I'm not here to tell you like AI is dead and don't use it and oh my God, but I do believe the world that we're entering into, where there's just going to be so much more content and so much more AI written websites and videos out there, and even like fake videos. I mean, right now there's tons of that going on. I mean, there's even this theory of the dead internet. Like, is the internet just going to be dead because everything's going to be this mashup and mishmash of what you're putting out there and what's being kind of reverberated back into the AI atmosphere. So it's just going to be like nothing. Like there's, it's like, how do we even know who's who and what's original and what's real and what's not real? And I don't know about you. I'm actually curious if you're feeling this. And if you are, please let me know. How many of you are already feeling like, I don't even want to look at a lot of content anymore because it's all kind of mashing together. There's very few people that are speaking originally out there. And those who are, some of them are now making up their own language. People are, digging into ancient texts to find words that haven't been used. It's fine. That's all good. I think maybe we're going to get there where maybe we're entering into a world of the only way to, really stand out is to create your own new language. I don't know. Why not? I'm glad I'm learning Quechua, right? Anyways, back to this. So I actually, when this kind of channeled through me, I thought I want to title this podcast, How to Make Millions Without Using AI, or Why AI is Killing Your Entire Business and Making You Go Broke. And I don't think it's either one of those extremes, but I want you to really feel this energy of the heart. Right now, this is me speaking fully through my heart, through what's coming through just divinely. This inspiration has come out of nowhere. It's come up a few times in my field. So of course, that's what informs what I talk about. It's usually every piece of content I write, every podcast I do is usually about what's alive right now. There are people that operate very different than that in their business. But when you tune into what's alive, you are connecting to the greater field of what the collective is probably feeling as well, or at least certain people in the collective. For example, you guys and or my ideal clients who are out there listening to this are feeling like, yeah, I've been feeling that too. Like, I don't even really like looking at content, or videos are getting boring, or everything's starting to sound the same. Are you even learning anything new? I mean, even this, I'm sure there's been 1,000 or hundreds of thousands of podcasts even saying the exact same thing I am. Maybe not taking the same perspective. I don't know. The one thing I will say is that you guys listening, the majority of my clients are people working in, the medicine space, people working as healers, coaches, therapists, people in what I call the transformational field. You are, and most of my clients, well, I should say all of my clients do soul work. This is not, none of my clients are like fluffy people that are just like creating a manifesting 101 course. My clients are doing pretty deep soul work, which, by the way, is the medicine we need for these times. Yes, I think it's fine if people are doing, light and fluffy things, but there's a group of people out there on planet Earth that are doing the real deep healing work. And I tend to help a lot of those people. And even though I might not come off that way myself sometimes, because I, sometimes like to not take life so seriously, I know the work I do with my clients is pretty deep level soul work. Helping my clients really liberate their soul and expand into a greater version of themselves so that they can more easily and effortlessly just call in the kind of business and money that they want and do deep work, centered in service. So when you're doing this level of work in the world, when you're working with someone's psyche and soul and the not conscious realms that you're working with, especially if you're working with medicines or other non-ordinary states, breath work, any kind of other modalities that involve being in an altered field, which, by the way, is, a lot of these modalities, even certain kinds of coaching and therapy. So when you're doing this work, it's so important to really have your quote unquote marketing, how you're putting yourself out there, what you're sharing in the world, your voice to be your authentic voice that is radiating the energy from your heart and from your divine channel that is open and flowing through you. But if you outsource all of that to AI, it's not going to have the resonation that is really going to call in the clients. And I believe this is where we are heading. And I'm really excited about it because I've already seen a shift in my business just from being more energetically aligned and doing less as an experiment to see, well, how can I, will I still make money if I am just working on my energy and just working on addressing what's going on in my not conscious realms, which I've been training in for the last, actually for a few years. But my modality that I've been trained in, transformational neuro-linguistic programming, is one of the best modalities that I've ever come across for addressing what's happening in these other fields in the not conscious realms. So when you address these and you start to, shift the patterning that is not even consciously in your awareness right now, when you work with someone like me or another, practitioner who knows this modality, and it starts to come up, it's, I've used this probably before and I'll use it again. This comes from my teacher. It's like you're taking a bunch of grapes and you're starting to pick away some of those grapes, and it shifts the entire bunch, and it allows for more space to flow, and it allows for more of you and your soul to flow through you naturally, effortlessly. And when you have the energetic space open, the chakras and your I will quote my friend Marin Azoff, who teaches this vocal transformation work. You will have the channels of your chakras start to open, and when you start to open up the solar plexus into the heart, into the throat, and all of this starts to open more, and this energy flows through you, then it just becomes easy. You become a clearer channel for the effortless business to flow through. By the way, this does not mean that you don't need to do anything. I witness this all the time. This is why I exist. This is part of what I do with my clients. You also have to have the 3D, the masculine supports the feminine. That's how it works. The masculine are the structures, the supports in your business, the systems. Like, you have to have a certain foundation to then allow everything that's flowing through you to be held. And when you have those two in balance, your business just effortlessly starts to flow in. And I've seen this over and over and over with clients. I even have videos proving it, where I have clients saying, I didn't even do anything and I just made $10,000. Or I was actually on, I was in a session with a client, or I think actually during a podcast interview with a client, and she just got a random client for a program that she hadn't even promoted yet while we were talking. I mean, it's like, how do you explain that? Well, she had certain things in place, certain foundations set. She had her messaging and clarity in her offerings. And then when all of the root, like all of this kind of root chakra, masculine system support are in place, then whatever is flowing through her is just supported by that. And I will be honest, I don't think she ever used AI. I mean, maybe she is now, but when we were working together about a year ago, she didn't use AI. And there's nothing wrong with little bits of it or using it very skillfully. I think this is going to be also a big topic, is the skillful use of AI and how to weave it into your business without having it being fully outsourced. You cannot outsource your heart to a robot. And I do believe that everything is consciousness, including the AI, because that is, we can't, right? Like, it's here in our reality. I don't believe it's a not conscious. I don't believe it's not conscious, because everything is consciousness. But at the same time, nothing can replace the energy of your heart and your true authentic voice and what's coming and channeling through you. So I did this project for this company or business. I don't even know what to call them, because they're a business run by a few guys. And actually, it's just run by, like, I think 2 guys, it sounds like. And when I gave them my assessment, which is what we agreed on, my number one piece of advice that came through was, like, here's the thing. I'm going to say this. They have a huge audience. Their audience is like 2 or 3 times bigger than mine. I don't know if it's an authentic audience. I have not confirmed that, but assuming it's an authentic audience, and when I say authentic, meaning they didn't buy any followers, they didn't pay for any kind of likes or anything like that. They have like over 20,000 subscribers on Substack. I don't know. I will say, if you purchase followers or you buy anything fake like that, it will actually come back to be more detrimental to your business. I can't even tell you. I had a client a few years ago who had purchased a bunch of followers and realized that. And so she actually just got rid of her old account and started completely over from scratch, which is the best thing you can do if you've ever paid for followers or likes or anything like that, because it actually, that's why I never did it. Thank God I understood social media marketing back when I did. Because now if you're trying to engage these people, they're not even real. And if you ever try to pay for ads or kind of any kind of re-engagement of, even fake emails or emails that are not authentic or whatever it is, unengaged emails, they're not worth having. I say this constantly to my clients, and I'll keep saying it. Having a small audience that's aligned is much better for making money and for your business than having a large audience of people that are unengaged, disengaged, not real, not authentic, or totally not your ideal client. Because then it's just a numbers, then it's like, they don't even want what you have to offer. So if they unsubscribe or quit following you, bless them. Bless the unsubscribes, bless the unfollows. They're the best thing. It's better to have the right people that love what you do, that align with who you are and resonate with what it is that's channeling through you. And if that's only 500 people or 200 people, great. You can have a very successful business with just a handful of 10 clients or even 5 clients. You don't need to be a large influencer to make money. And I will say this, God, I wish I could name names, but I never will. But I just laugh because I'm friends with some of these people. I have some friends that are influencers that have way bigger followings than I do. And I cannot tell you the amount of times they've come to me for business help. Or even to tell me, like, how are you making so much money? And, I'm not. Well, there's certain things in their business that were, that I would say are not in the proper place, meaning certain support structures, systems, and strategies. And, there's nothing wrong with it. And, there's probably a very easy fix, but it's very funny to watch, people that have huge audiences. We all think they're doing well just because they're popular, but this is like the popular crew in high school, right? Which, by the way, I was never part of the popular crew. I was always friends with everybody, but always very kind of sovereign on my path. Like I had, close friends, but was never part of the like any kind of cliques. And even to this day, it's very funny to watch, my friends. Like I have a lot of friends. I know a lot of amazing people. I have some closer friends, of course, but it's funny if you stop to look at this analogy of like the popular crew versus those that are just kind of doing their thing, have an open heart, pick and choose, and are really sovereign in their truth on their path. This is what we're seeing in business. Those are the ones that succeed. Popularity does not equal money. Maybe if you have 300,000 followers and you're selling something for $2 to all of them, great. But do they all buy something even if it's $2? No. Are they even engaged and seeing what you're posting? No, not necessarily. So I share all of this as some inspiration for those of you who feel the need to have a huge following or post all the time, or, oh my God, maybe I should just outsource completely to AI. You know what? I think most human beings would rather hear your truth, even if it's simple and short and just clean energy that's coming from your heart. You don't have to always write a long, drawn out sob story about how you've gone through a hero's journey the last week. Not everything needs to be this, I was, homeless, sleeping in my car and almost losing everything. And then I, found my purpose and now I'm making millions. Not every piece of content needs to be a hero's journey. I think people really just want to feel your heart and soul. This is why I share about chickens that my neighbors have that are running around my yard, or my bees, or my beautiful dahlias that are growing. It's really just about being yourself and being true. And then, hey, you can weave in your next offering. And the key is really having the right resonation, the right vibration coming through, and really being true to your heart and not outsourcing it completely to the robots that be. Anyways, I hope you found some sort of inspiration in this. And if so, please write me back, leave a comment. Just let me know what you think. I always love to hear from my listeners. And also let me know, is there anything you'd like me to talk about or anyone you want me to interview? Please reach out and let me know. Thank you so much for tuning in.